Hi folks, welcome to EW Live. In this edition we have a very special guest, Mr. Lon Cullen, to tell us about a journey that I think will help all our viewers out there who are going through an injury, who are working and recovering from that injury, who may have surgery or may be considering surgery and recovering post-surgery, and most importantly, how important it is to have the kind of focus this guy has to get himself back to an active lifestyle. So, professional mountain biking instructor, we're trying, actually he's not here yet. Has anybody seen Lon? Oh, there he is. Here he is. Yeah, my man. What's going on, Lon?
Looking forward to today.
Thanks for being here today, bro.
Yeah,
Let's get in here.
Yeah.
Got a lot of cool stuff to ask you.
I don't know if they're ready to see our faces yet.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah, have some mercy on them.
Have some mercy, that's right. So look, guys, we're very fortunate. I'm going to hang my helmet right here, if that's all right. Very fortunate to have Lon in the studio today. Lon, you truly do have an amazing story. And for those of you watching or who will be watching, this is so applicable to so many different customers, clients that we see, to folks that we don't see that are going through similar issues. Your story is going to help a lot of people, and I'm really looking forward to diving into it. First and foremost, just a little disclaimer, not a disclaimer, but just to let you know, if you can't watch this live, it will be on our website, ewmotiontherapy.com, www.ewmotiontherapy.com. And also, hopefully, you'll be able to link to it or see it through your website, www.singletrackskills.bike. We will drop both those into the comment section when we're done here or during the show, so it'll be easy to find. So, without further ado, Lon, let's jump right in.
Right on.
You are a professional mountain biking instructor, not something you hear about all the time, and you have an amazing journey or story to that. First of all, what the heck is a professional mountain bike? What is it that you do, and how in the world did you arrive at this career?
Right on. So I actually, my vocation for many years is I was a pastor and a hospice chaplain, and I was a hospice chaplain for quite a long time, about 6 years, and that started kind of getting to me, and right about that time I took a private lesson from a really good instructor out in Colorado, and I thought I was a pretty good rider. I've been riding ever since I was a kid on two wheels, but I learned just like any sport, you don't know what you don't know. And so I got excited about what he taught me, and then I started learning as much as I can from other coaches, and I got certified, and it kind of dawned on me that we don't have anybody doing this here in the Southeast. That was about 6 years ago. And so I thought, we don't have to import somebody from another state. We can handle our own business down here. And so I got certified, and I've just basically been just sharing all the good stuff that I've learned, because would love for people not to get injured on the bike if at all possible, and to ride faster and ride more difficult features. And that's kind of how Ethan and I met.
So fantastic. I second that. And just so you guys know, I think Lon's being fairly modest here. Lon has taught in over 13 states and counting now, throughout the Southeast to the West Coast. Yeah. There may be some other areas that I don't know. In West Virginia also?
Yes, I've done a little bit there.
A little bit there,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, primarily I've done in Washington State, Colorado, and all, pretty much all in the Southeast.
Yeah. So I really want to get into some additional questions, but at the end, I really want, hopefully we have time to dive more into actually what you do as an instructor. I will tell you this, if you want to ride safer, you want to learn how to ride better, more efficiently, with less pain, investing with a coach, investing in Lon will pay dividends for years to come. To me, I've just done this with you. It's been fantastic. My son's done it. And it's really going to enable me to ride. Mountain biking will become a lifelong sport.
Exactly.
And so that's really what I think you want, and that's what I want as a pupil. So let's kind of dive into just a little bit more about your background. Have you always been a mover? Has movement, exercise always been important to you, or has that come later in life? Just kind of give some details of what you grew up doing, what you've done as an adult, Has it all been mountain biking? Just a little background there.
Right on. Yeah, so, when I was a kid, I played basketball, and I noticed even as a kid doing the suicide, you run out and touch the free throw line, run out and touch the half court, my lower back would even bother me as a kid, and as, later on in life, I had more lower back problems. I think it's kind of hereditary. My dad had a lot, and later on in life, I started doing some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and some other things, and mountain biking, and I always would have problems with my lower back until it kind of got to the point to where, it was getting really bad. And I think that's whenever Ethan and I actually kind of met.
Sure.
Right around that time.
So you've been a mover
For
than
sure.
your entire life. So movement is kind of foundational to your sense of well-being.
For sure.
Your sense of that, and as we kind of dive into it, as your injury progresses, and it's, I hope really you'll kind of share emotionally
Sure.
what was going on as we go in there. So let's really dive into really your injury. You just mentioned you first experienced back pain, at a very young age.
Right.
Okay. As you kind of evolved and kind of, you had your career, your first career, and then your second career. Was this pain something you took seriously, or just something you kind of avoided? Kind of tell us a little bit about its progression in your life.
For sure. Yeah, it continued to the back pain continued to get worse. And, I needed relief from it. I was starting to have to take a lot of anti-inflammatory medicines on a daily basis, and I had several people in the medical community saying, hey, that's not going to be good for your liver if you're planning on living to be a long time, living to be quite a bit older. And so it was getting to the point to where, I couldn't hardly even get off of the couch at night. It was just really hurting. It really wasn't from an injury. It was just kind of from getting old and having, some bad genes, and probably from previous injuries that I don't know about, but there was nothing that really set it apart at the time that it was really getting bad.
So no one incident, no one thing that you could attribute it to, it just was progressing, getting worse. And again, I think our viewer, our audience, that's very similar to a lot of the underlying, to their presentation. So did you take it, outside of taking an anti-inflammatory, I would assume over the counter, maybe it evolved in prescription. When you started really kind of taking this seriously, did you seek any kind of treatment? Physical therapy, chiropractic care, in your professional biking career? Did you look at bike fits, changing geometry, and kind of take us through all the things that you tried? Maybe some worked, some didn't.
Yeah, those are good questions, and I went to see Dr. Ricky Kohlberg at Andrews, and he's a non-surgical doctor, and he basically did his job and did it well. He started off with the least invasive stuff. He got me involved in a PT. He got me involved in, I saw a great chiropractor too. I was doing all of those sorts of things to see if I could get relief, but after looking at the X-rays and MRIs and stuff, it was looking like it was getting to the point to where needed something more aggressive.
Sure, sure.
So
you had actually tried a lot of things.
For sure.
And did you ever try anything like yoga, acupuncture, or did you go kind of in an alternate direction? Or
I never did. I never did that.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
no. So I can't say that I tried everything, but I think from my personal, them looking at the MRI and them looking at the X-rays, getting more than one opinion, they were basically saying, hey, listen, you've got these, you just probably need to consider surgery.
Sure.
So at that point, I went ahead and started going that direction. I really held off because I haven't heard a lot of good things about back and neck surgery.
That's right.
Some people I'd talked to have said, hey, I'm worse off now than I was before the surgery. So I was very conservative, and then I finally got to the point to where I just felt like, I want to keep doing this. I want to keep having an active lifestyle.
Right.
I got, I checked out my surgeon, had others check him out. So I felt like it was time to go that direction.
So when I met you, which was just not even really a year ago, I met last summer. Took a lesson.
Sure.
From you, and I think my son Jackson was on that first one. Maybe our first two. Jackson was there. And what I noticed about you at that time, the very first one, I didn't know that all this was going on. But what I noticed was you look great on the bike. looked great on the bike. When you got off the bike to do instruction, I could see that there was some struggle there. There's some struggle to
For
stand,
sure.
to get erect, to walk.
For sure.
And in that second lesson, I think that's kind of when you opened up about,
Right.
you know, I'm having back surgery in November. You had an unbelievable trip of a lifetime plan that I'm still jealous of, that you wanted to kind of get through summer,
Right.
fall prior to your surgery. But the decision was made to have the
right.
surgery right there. And I think this is really, really important for viewers out there. Once that decision was made to have surgery, okay, how focused were you in your mind on the fact that that surgery was going to be successful, and how focused were the people in your life or who are giving you advice, surrounding yourself with the positivity at that point? I'm having the surgery, it's going to be successful, it's going to get me through it. How important was that to you?
Super, super important. You know, I mean, I believe that we as humans are created to be in community. And, you know, not any one of us can do it all on our own. And, you know, so I know like Ethan and some other friends, they would say, hey, you know, once you've made the decision now, you just got to be positive. You know, you got to do your best. You know, don't dwell on the negative. And that really did help me before the surgery, but I needed it even more after the surgery. And, you know, we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Folks, I will tell you this, what Lon just said is so important if you're going into a surgery.
For sure.
Mentally focus on a positive
I agree.
outcome. Get it in your head, get off the internet, surround yourself with people that are giving you that message, and don't go the other way, because that's half the battle. Okay?
I agree.
So right before your surgery, just so we kind of know, because I think people will be able to relate to this, if you could describe what your symptoms were, really your symptoms at their worst, what did that look like? What were you feeling? How would you appear? You said, you know, getting off of a couch could be a struggle.
Right, right.
How are you making it through a day? How are you making it through a day of teaching? You know, medications. You know, how are you doing that?
Yeah. So I don't really know how to say it other than I just had a tremendous amount of lower back pain. You know, it would seem to be right in my kind of like in my spinal cord area. You know, I would take the most ibuprofen that you know my doctor said that I could take, and you know, when I'm teaching, I couldn't wait for lunch to come around so that I could eat some food and take some more ibuprofen or anti-inflammatory. I'm not saying it's ibuprofen, but anyway, you know, and I just knew that that was not going to be the way that I could continue to live. The other thing that was happening to me was I was gaining a lot of weight because I was depressed that I couldn't do what I wanted to do or used to be able to do athletically. And so, you know, I would take, you know, I would start eating a lot of ice cream. Believe it or not, I love ice cream. You know, I would eat a lot of ice cream at night, and you know, I was putting on weight and I didn't even know it. And then I think that belly fat was pulling on the back. Now, you know, this is not my area of expertise, but this is my layman's understanding. Sure. And you know, so it was almost like a vicious kind of downward cycle, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So. Mentally, physically, you were suffering.
For sure.
Suffering, and here's the thing: there are two underlying principles. Okay, these aren't just EW principles. These are principles. We don't care where you're going, what you're doing, what your experience. If you'll get this in your head, tissues heal. Okay, if you decide to have a surgery, keep that in mind. Tissues heal, surgeries heal. But the other side of that is there are also underlying factors that have contributed to that surgical presentation, and those really are biomechanical in nature. And post-surgery, you really have to put a team around you that those things can be found out and addressed. And that doesn't matter what it is, 100% of the time that is foundational. So you had the surgery. Can you tell the viewer of the surgery, the type of surgery you had, what was done to your spine?
Sure. So in non-fancy terms, basically I had two vertebrae towards the bottom of my back, and basically the disc in there was completely gone. So what the surgeon, Dr. Cordova, did very well was he basically screwed into those vertebrae and fused it. So basically, he kind of jacked that up and made room, because since that disc was gone, I was getting pressure on that spinal cord. So he moved it up, and then he fused it. And it's a pretty serious surgery. I've had ACL surgery. I've had other, obviously I've had some accidents in my life in the sports that I've done, and this was a rough one to get through.
It's not a in and out type
It's really
deal.
not.
So Lon had a 2-level lumbar fusion. For those of you guys out there, they're wondering, that would just be the descriptor of it, of his surgery. 2 levels fused, and after the surgery, what were your symptoms?
Yeah, so after the surgery, I'm 53, and in my mind, I think I'm 23. I think I'm supposed to heal like I'm 23, and that just doesn't work that way.
Right.
And so it was taking me a lot longer to get feeling better, and that's where Ethan and Dr. Kohlberg and others came in, because they kept telling me, hey, listen, you need to be patient. You need to kind of take baby steps. And I was ready to rush this thing up, just like back when I was 23, But I would say, for me personally, and not just for me, anybody who's in this type of situation, it's so important to surround you with a team that you can count on, who can be objective. I mean, a barber, a bartender, a preacher, a physical therapist.
Yeah.
You need somebody to speak truth to you, because in the moment, when you're in so much pain and you're frustrated and everything, you have to have those objective markers that you can kind of tie off to, and they kind of pulled me through emotionally, and I kind of feel like I'm a pretty strong emotionally.
Sure.
But when you're sick, when you're healing, it's not all working. It's not right.
So just to elaborate, because this really will help our viewers, and again, I'm glad you said ACL. Does ACL surgery, total shoulder, total knee, lumbar fusion. Here's what we see a lot. Okay. And I think you'll be honest with the viewers immediately after your surgery, okay? Were you scared you made a mistake?
I absolutely was. And I mean, thank goodness for me having a good wife too. I couldn't do anything without her, but I mean, she would on a daily basis just remind me, do you remember what the doctor said? Do you remember? Like, she kept bringing it back, but I thought I had made a huge mistake. And it really wasn't until like maybe 4 months after the surgery that I was convinced that I did not make a mistake.
That you made the right decision.
Yeah.
And so what's important here, folks, is to realize the surgery fixes a problem, okay? But it takes time. It takes time for tissues to heal. But hear this, tissues heal.
Yep.
Surgeries heal.
Yep.
So the acute or the issue that was causing you with that pain was ongoing. So part of your team, you need to make sure that you have a team, as you have so well mentioned, that is surrounding you, again, educating you that, look, you had a surgery. This is normal.
Yeah.
This is normal.
Right.
Slow down. It's going to get better. You're going to do it. Your wife, God bless her for kind of reeling you back, because it can get very dark when you're still hurting post-surgically.
Exactly right.
The second part of that is foundational, and I'd like to elaborate on that a little bit, is once we kind of got through the pain and kind of the mental components, and we could start working on the physical components of how your body presented. We talked a lot about with what you want to do on a bike, how you want to go forward, how you want to be healthy. We found some foundational or some foundational issues in your body that really contributed to stress in the area that you had lost disc space that really needed to be fixed surgically. And we talked a lot about finding balance in your lumbopelvic girdle, basically your hips and your legs, and how muscles in the front of your legs and hips, in your case, can really cause stress or dysfunction. And again, to the viewer, this is probably not making a lot of sense, so I'm hoping that you can put it in words that it will make sense to the viewer. But we found some things foundationally or structurally in your body that you really, the surgery's done one thing, but
Exactly.
to do what you want to do forever, that we found some things that you really have to work on. And can you kind of take the viewer through
For sure.
in what you see as those issues?
Yeah. So one of the things I want to make sure I say before I forget, because I think this will really help a lot of people, is that, I started off by trying to do my PT with an app and kind of find the exercises that I could use from previous similar injuries, and why have to drive 20 minutes away when I can take care of it. And I remember telling Ethan this, I'm doing this exercise, and he's like, don't do that exercise, you're not ready for that. But you see, I didn't know any better. And so what I appreciate about him is, I came here and he started me off with really baby steps, and those are what I needed, like just moving my hand a little bit in the crawling position instead of trying to do something crazy, And so I definitely credit him for preventing me from becoming more injured without even knowing that I was. So that's pretty important, I think, for all of us. Again, coming back to a team, he doesn't teach mountain biking, so you wouldn't want to go to him for that.
That's right.
But you wouldn't want to come to me to be your PT, and especially not your surgeon. You know what I mean? So we each have a role to play. So yeah, more specifically about my particular situation is because I ride a bike so much, I'm pretty out of balance, and I'm kind of crunched over because of the way I sit on the seat. And so one of the things I'm having to do to this, even early on to this day, is I'm having to work on my thighs and keep them stretched out, and work on different exercises to help me be more balanced, so that when I stand up, I'm not kind of crunched over. I'm standing up straight, and it takes a lot of daily work to do that.
It does take a lot of work, but it's central and it's individualized and corrective to your body, and that's the thing. And I was so glad that you brought in that you were just trying to do it from an app, or you were just trying to, I watch not 1,000, but I watch a mountain biking instructional video almost every night. And by the way, Lon's got some exceptional ones on his website. His entire curriculum now, you've done it in video sequence. And so if you really want to get a quality instructional video, go to the website and get that. But what I was saying is there's no substitute for getting it in person,
Exactly.
getting it in real time. So that's great you say. And the other thing is, folks, when you invest in a surgery, it's a big investment. Okay, don't try to do your initial sequences and things like that off of the internet or off of what you've done in the past. Let somebody look at what you're doing, because some of the things you were doing would have absolutely been detrimental.
For sure. And I didn't know it.
I didn't know
it.
Somebody gives it to you, you trust it, and it just wasn't going to work. So, so that's great. So take us kind of through. Initially, I'll catch folks up. It was about just getting your head focused on this is a progression, baby steps, as you say. We work our way towards it. But as we kind of got through the pain, we kind of got you. Really, it just started with walking pain-free, right?
For sure.
Getting you posturally in a good neutral standing posture and walking. But kind of take us through your progression as you started getting better.
Right.
2.5, 3, 4 months. What that looked like for you? If you tell the viewers that.
So the first week was just rough. And again, I wouldn't have been able to do it without my wife. And so that was just basically about managing pain, and staying clean, taking shower, all those things. And then the first month, was a little bit more like, okay, I've done this. I'm not sure if I made the right decision, but I can't undo it. So we're going to make the best of it. And that continued to go on until like right around month 4. Month 4, I got up one morning and I didn't have any pain, and I was like, well, this is a miracle. I mean, really, I believe in modern miracles, and I believe God used different people to have a miracle in my life. And once I didn't have any pain, it was like I was really on it then. Now I was like, I can do this. Like, this is going to work now. And by then, Ethan and I were meeting more and more for physical therapy, and I was like, all right, it's almost like an alcoholic. I'm finally clean. Now I just got to stay sober. So what do I need to do to stay sober?
That's a good
and he would give me different exercises. I would do it, different stretches, And now I'm 6 months out, and I think I got about 6 more before the bones are completely fused. And so now it's basically, hey, if I'm alcoholic, stay away from the bar, right?
That's right.
And so I'm having to do the stretches every day, just do what I know to do, and I'm going to be a completely healed person, I believe, by November, for sure.
You're well on your way. And the key here is to keep it simple.
Keep it
You
simple.
don't have to do 1,000 different things. What you have to do is what's individualized and corrected for your body. And so really where you've progressed in your, again, it's up to you. Where you've progressed is you have really a foundational core
for sure
of 3 or 4 really exercises that you do. And you're incorporating some kettlebells.
Yes.
You're incorporating some crawling, which is kind of a neuromotor developmental thing. And for flexibility, your key focus, as you've already said, is on your really what we call anterior lines. But for your profession and the fact that you teach and really don't get tall and extend it through your hip, and that you drive to teach, we really have to keep you focused on keeping your anterior hip open. And it's that simple for you.
It is.
Because you're strong, you're a mover, you're healthy. And once you understand that and you can keep it simple, you're well on your way. So, how are you doing? How would you say you're doing? And I'll tell some people if you don't really tell. How are you doing in your recovery? Are you back to teaching on the bike?
I am. I've kind of had to work again with my team because in my mind, I can do anything, right? That's the way it works. But in reality, right, that's not always. I can't crash. I can't crash for another 6 months. So I've kind of had to have different professionals who understand what I do kind of set limits for me. You can't get on this trail. You can't get on this trail. And it's more just to protect me from just making a mistake and injuring that same area again. So I've pretty much been pretty legalistic about that. People are saying, hey, I need a lesson on this particular trail. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't sign you up until November 16th, literally a year from my surgery, So that's just a boundary that I've had to make. But yeah, feel great. I still want to do more of the core things that Ethan and I have talked about. I fail some days, we all do. But I think it's important to realize that don't get in a situation where if you don't do everything, then that means do nothing. Pick 2 or 3 things that will be good for you and me, for all of us.
Right.
And just do those. If you mess up that one day, hey, you got it. The sun's coming up again. You got another opportunity. But I think it's human nature.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. So just to elaborate really on where Lon's in, and I'm one of those guys waiting for your November return to some of the some of the stuff with getting the tires off the ground. I really look forward to that. But Lon is an amazing rider and amazing teacher. And those 2 things are hard to find, I think, in a lot of things. I think it's hard to find somebody that can teach. It's a lot of NFL coaches never played in the NFL. Right.
Exactly.
A lot of big league skippers have never threw a ball in a big league game. They just love the game. So I think it's a rare commodity that you can do both well. And you're riding well. I mean, what did you do last night?
Yeah, we had a little local race, and it was a lot of fun, and was able to get 3rd place in the, I'm 53, in the 45 to 55 group, and I know it was a small race and everything, but it was fun.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
It is fun.
Yeah.
But you are teaching again certain levels, and I think, just to kind of sum up, and then, because I want to dive in, it's okay if we run a little long today, I think? Yeah, we'll run a little long. I want to get into some of these bikes, and you kind of tell us a little bit more about that and kind of what you do. But so your next steps, you've kind of given them. What is really next for you?
Right.
As a rider, as a teacher, kind of what are your goals? What do you see in Lon's future?
Yeah, so for the next 6 months, I'm basically cleared to teach anything with the wheels on the ground with a bike, which is a lot. Like cornering, body position, braking, all of that kind of stuff. A lot of people just want to jump past that, you know, and get to jumping and everything, but in reality, you need that stuff way more than the other. The other is kind of like icing on the cake. So the next 6 months, I'll be continuing to teach that and, you know, kind of hone my teaching craft on that. And the next 6 months, I really want to keep working on my diet and keep working on my, you know, kettlebells and stretching and crawls and all that stuff. And then by November 16th, I'm planning on taking a trip to celebrate. I'm going to go out and ride with another coach in Sedona, Arizona, and maybe pick up a few private lessons on the way. Yeah, just to let it loose out there. That's kind of my goal.
So we're going to move this table out, but before we do, I'm going to tell just last little pitch I'm going to give for you, Lon. I've ridden a bike off and on for a number of years, and I think that I am just now learning how to ride a bike. Same thing with snow skiing for me.
Yep.
Invested in lessons,
For sure.
probably 4 or 5 years ago, and am just now learning how. And I've been skiing a long time, and
Exactly.
so the enjoyment on these bikes now for me personally, because of my investment, is off the charts. And it's like learning a new game or having a new toy. It's fun. You feel like you're 16 years old when you're on these things,
Right.
and it is a great lifelong activity to do. So with that, we have two very different bikes here. Two very different bikes, used obviously for different things. I guess to some of our viewers, maybe not, but maybe you could kind of take us through
For sure.
bikes and other kinds of bikes out there, what they're used for. And I'm going to ask you if you'd come back in the future and actually maybe we could have a session that's more instructional.
Yep.
You know, we can talk about bike positions. We can talk about grip, all those things that you teach.
Yeah.
If you'd be willing to do
Be
that, I would
happy.
love to have you back for that
Be
in the
fun.
future.
Yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
great. So let's move this table and let's talk a little bit about these bikes. That'll work. I'll get these guys out of the way.
All right.
So what do we have here? What kind of bike
So
do we have here?
This is basically a trail bike, and you kind of think about it like a Corvette and a monster truck on two ends of the spectrum, okay? So this would be kind of in the middle, and this is what basically most people would ride in the state of Alabama, in the South. This is your all-around bike, and this is the type of bike that I teach on the most. I just brought this in just for fun so we could talk about the monster truck, okay?
Yeah.
So this will go uphill well, and it'll go downhill well. It's just a kind of an all-around. It's like a Subaru, you know what I mean? Just,
So pretty good for an Oak Mountain type
Exactly,
environment.
exactly.
What's you know, on this bike, I notice if I'm a viewer that and this bike is ridden a lot at Oak Mountain. These pedals are flats. I'm not clipped in on those. What's the deal there?
Yeah, so the big debate is whether or not you should have a clipless pedal, which is, think about like a snow ski, and you're kind of you're getting in your bindings. That would be like a clipless pedal. And then there are these flat pedals. And basically flats are safer because you can just step off of them if you're doing more technical riding. And Ethan likes to do a lot of technical riding. I got to be careful. I'm teaching him so much he's going to pass me up. I may have to give him some bad information.
Yeah,
here.
no way.
But yeah, so basically flats are safer. Clipless are faster. And so there's not a right or wrong. You just decide what your goals are. At 53, I'd rather be safer and, you know, maybe not be quite as fast. But that's just me. Somebody else at 53 would be a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm for safe.
Yeah.
Risk versus reward.
Exactly.
I want to ride.
Yeah.
I don't want to get hurt.
And you
for
can
sure.
still be fast on these. Sam Hill, the Enduro World Champion, two-time world champion, he rides flats.
Yeah.
So you can do that if you work on it for sure.
And so this is just kind of an all-around bike. If I was going the other way and I just wanted to ride fast, cross country,
Right.
what would kind of be the difference in that bike and this bike?
For sure, that's a really good question. So on the other end, more of the Corvette end of it, you have what's called a cross-country race bike. And it's lighter, but it's way less forgiving. So if you make a little mistake, then you're more apt to crash on that than you say you are on this. And then this, you can really get away with a lot of mistakes, you see. So, you know, I kind of advise people, your first mountain bike, I would get it here. I wouldn't try to go to this end or this end because you want a little bit of a safety with the way the bike's made, with the geometry and stuff in case you do. Not if you make a mistake, but when you make a mistake. Yeah.
And on this bike, the kind of last question on this bike has front suspension and rear suspension.
Correct.
And for the type of riding that we're really kind of talking about, and I'm making an investment in a first bike or whatever, should I look for a full suspension bike, or can I get by with,
Yes.
I mean, what would you recommend there? Hardtail, full suspension, what?
And I think that part of this has to do with your age. They make bikes that are called hardtails that do not have this rear suspension. I can't ride them, and because when I'm seated on a hardtail, it puts a lot of stress in the lower back, and so I just can't ride it. And I would guess that a lot of older people would not be able to, even if they hadn't had surgery. But if you're 23, 24, get you a hardtail. I mean, it's cheaper.
Yeah, to get in, get into it and go from there.
For sure, yeah.
So a lot of great bike shops. We're blessed with great bike shops,
For
great
sure.
folks here in Birmingham. All right, so that's a cross country. You want to get this beast off?
Yeah,
and, show us?
I'm going to set this down. Before I talk about that, I do want to make a mention of this helmet right here. So a lot of people see a helmet with some face protection, and they automatically shy away and like, I don't want to do any downhill. I don't want to do anything on that bike. The reason why I wear a helmet with some face protection is I had a really bad crash on a super easy cross-country race trail that the kids race on. And so for me, I know the face doesn't look too good, but it's the only one I got. I want to keep it the rest of my life. So yeah, I always wear some face protection. I may not wear elbow or knee protection, but you only get one face, even whenever I'm on a trail bike or a cross-country bike.
Lon convinced me that I needed to go to this style helmet, and it was hard for me to put it on and wear it. I mean, like, everybody's going to think I'm goofy or whatever. And within the third ride, for those of you, I crashed on the lake trail, face forward head plant, and this thing saved my mug too. So highly recommend it. I agree 1,000%. So let's talk about this guy.
Yeah. So this bike, I do not teach downhill. I don't have the insurance for it, and I'm not going to pay for it because there's such a small sliver of riders who are even interested in downhill. This is something I do for fun to work on my personal skills, because if I can do it on this and learn it on this where there's more room for air, then I'm probably going to be able to do it a lot better on a smaller bike. There's a place called Windrock Bike Park that's about 4 hours from here, and some of the highest level pros in the United States go and train there, and it is very, very difficult riding. And so I just do it for my own skills and building it so you ride there, everything else looks easy.
Yeah, so this thing is massive. When you look at the bike that we just looked at in this, what's the difference in that shock and the front shock on that? Because that looks like a pretty fairly beastie front shock.
For sure. And one thing I didn't mention is you do not pedal this to the top of a hill. You put this on a ski lift. If you go out to Colorado in the summers, they're running the same ski lifts that you ski in the winter. So you can put this on the lift, take it up. It's made just for downhill. It does not pedal well at all. Yeah. And this fork is like the fork you'd find on a motorcycle. It's so this is basically a motorcycle, and this is your engine. But it's all going downhill. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot. But the things I teach, cornering, body positioning, all that stuff, braking, it doesn't matter if you're using this bike, that bike, or the Corvette race bike. It's the same. I mean, it's the same stuff. Yeah.
So look, man, I really do appreciate you being here today, and just to thank Lon, and just to say, look, if you want to ride, if you want to be comfortable on a bike, ride longer, enjoy it. There's not a better investment than Lon. Singletrackskills.bike. Go there, shoot him a message through the website. He'll get back to you, and best thing you can do if you want to ride a bike. So thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate it. Remember, tissues heal. Just surround yourself with a quality team, and you're well on your way. So until next time, everybody have a great week.